Hi, I'm Julian Kyula, CEO of Mode Group, and I'm a game changer. See you on the other side. Hi, do you ever feel like life's just getting the best of you or the worst of you? Ever get up and just feel this is the wrong week? Well, I know the feeling. My name is Julian Kyula. I'm passionate about people's dreams, passions, just destiny, where we're heading to. Join me on this journey. I look forward to seeing you. Thanks for the question. Growing up was, I guess for everybody, we were all brought up, and I was privileged to have grown up in a house where I had a father with very straight values, and a mother who was very good at instilling those values. And as a result of that, I have 4 sisters. I have no brothers, and that just meant that I grew up in a house where there was a lot of focus on values, on how to behave around girls or how to behave around women. My father took a lot of value around how to treat a lady, and so I just picked up on that and practiced on all my sisters. I wasn't very successful always, but I think the whole experience of growing up had its very interesting moments. It's a pretty long story, but to cut it short, the experiences came in interesting seasons. I think the biggest season started coming around when adulthood started coming up, and I had to make some critical decisions around life and growing up. So my whole life has been a story of some amazing ups and downs, and I think that's everyone's story, but the good thing is how you come out of it. I don't have anything extra that other people have besides just making up my mind that there's a particular route I'm going to take and particular values I choose to live by. I'm not always successful, but I strive towards it, knowing that I do have a great example in Christ. So my take on growing up is that yes, there were some amazing seasons of joy, but there have also been some very, very painful seasons and some very tough seasons, and but I keep my focus on the days ahead and on the focus around where life is taking us and what God has in store for us, because that's the one thing that cannot be ashamed. Greatest achievements, wow. For me, the greatest achievement is the story about my wife and my 3 sons. I cannot think of a greater achievement than that. People may say that's an obvious thing. Well, no, it's not. And the fact that God can give you some healthy, amazing miracles and these innocent angels and give you an amazing angel. The tough moments of my life, I had a strong wife, and she was able to hold my hand through some very tough moments. So I think if I can say that it is true, when you find a wife, you find a good thing and you obtain favor from the Lord. I'm a walking example of that, and I'm extremely proud of it. I could talk about some great business achievements and some other great things we've been able to achieve, but I don't think there's anything that can surmount to what I see when I look at those boys. And what drives me every day, and looking at my wife, what drives me every day is the ability to know I have to do something that makes sure that their children and their children's children are actually going to be secure. To the best of my capability, I want to keep that promise. And so that is my greatest achievement, is 3 boys who somewhat are starting to look like their father, but were born looking like their mother. Hello, hi there. I found out something amazing a few days ago. You know, anytime you talk to someone about vision, There's all these definitions of vision, all these things people are going to tell you, everything everyone's going to come out, the 10 things you need to do about vision. Well, I decided to come up with my own analogy about vision. So many people talk about it. Maybe I'm going to give you a different side of vision. I don't know if you'll agree with me, but it's a personal opinion. And so I was at this airport, and I was sitting there, and I was observing, and everything in this airport reminded me of vision. And while there, I realized that vision is absolutely personal. Don't be fooled. It's absolutely personal. I'm sitting there in the airport, and I discovered, okay, there were those that were arriving, and there were those that were leaving. There were those that were meeting those that were arriving. There were those that were departing. But I saw a very interesting group of people that somehow I found myself sitting near the immigration holding cell. I wasn't in it, but I was near it. And there were people who could not leave the airport. And I asked myself a very interesting question. Isn't this how vision is? Constantly in everything you'll do, there will be people that will be coming. There'll be people that while others are arriving, they'll be leaving. And there'll be those that are actually there to celebrate those that are leaving you. And there'll be those that are there to receive those that are arriving at the airport. But interestingly, what I liked was the guys in the cell. They cannot leave the airport. It made me realize that even for your vision, there's people that have been assigned to stick with you and cannot leave. I like those people. So don't get caught up. Somebody told me something. In every place you have to, in every building you go into, you have to look and ask, okay, I see some pillars. Even where I'm sitting right now, there are some pillars around me. But there's also furniture. In your life, you have to ask yourself a question. Because if you move pillars, the building is destroyed. But furniture moves. And sometimes we get so caught up in life trying to hold on to furniture instead of holding on to pillars. So I said, I want to get closer to those that are pillars, and I want to spend more time with those that are in the cell, because everyone else is on a journey and everyone is valuable. Everybody is valuable. But ask yourself this question. If vision is this personal, who should you be spending your time with? Who should be the people speaking into your life? Furniture works and can speak, but I assure you, you've probably not known that there are some pillars you should have been spending time with that are very critical to your vision. So the bold step I had to take is when I made a decision to leave employment and start my own companies. At that time, just one company. That's all I was hoping to start. And I remember just looking at the dynamics. And of course, Murphy's Law applied. Everything I tried failed. And this was the toughest time of my life, to have a wife and a baby and absolutely have nowhere to turn. I had also gone ahead and started a church. And here I was trying to encourage people to start business, and mine had done absolutely badly. And because I had made a decision not to take any income from the church, this became a time I just wasn't sure anymore which direction I was going. I was sure what I wanted to do, but there was no resources, there were no avenues opening up, everything was shutting down. It just felt like the world was just flattening in front of my very face. But the challenge I had is I had said some things to my wife that we were going to do. I had said some things to the church that I was going to do. I'm not sure if pride was what was in the way, but I had to get back in the game. And after dusting myself, after about a year of recovery, so 10 years ago I started. The first thing I started didn't do very well after 4 years. And this was, if you remember, the 2007-2008 global economic crisis affected my business really badly. I had to pretty much sell that business for $1. And I had lost a lot of investors' money in that. And the courage to pick up again is when I started understanding the dynamics about how it works. One of the people I was privileged to meet is the founders of Box. And when I was with him at Silicon Valley, he was sharing with us that he had failed 6 times. And all 6 times people had come back to continue funding him. And I understood that it's not failing, it's discovering how it's not done. It's discovering what kind of partners you should have. It's discovering what kind of mindset you should have. It's discovering you shouldn't have yes men around you, but you have people who tell you the truth. And in doing so, I use that experience to make sure that this next time around I had learned my lesson, because some painful things had happened. I had dealt with auctioneers, I had dealt with being evicted, and all this while being a pastor. And I remember very clearly being able to say, this is not where I'm supposed to be. But I remember Joseph's story in the pit. I remember Daniel's story in the pit. I remember David's story hiding in the Philistine camp. And it just made sense that whoever you are, no matter where you find yourself, you just have to get the courage to get back in the game. And I got back in the game. And I've never looked back since. And I made a promise to my wife that we were never going to go backwards. It was never going to be retrogressive. If we had to learn any lessons, it was new lessons. Never the old lessons. Learn once, it's good enough lesson. And that's where we've been. And here we are today and able to do what God has called us to do. While I was in college in the US, I got a job with a group, and it was just a regular job. I just applied for a job and I started working this job. But somewhere in the middle of the job, the CEO took a liking to me, and he wanted to mentor me, and he decided to show me the ropes. And this was after trying out many other things. But on this particular job, he said, I want to help you. And I want to show you how you can get to the right level of growth. So about, I'd say about 15 years ago, this man introduced me to a completely different way of doing things, helped me understand priorities, helped me understand. He had over 4,000 employees in that company. And I can't explain why I was one of the people he just felt very strongly he needed to help. And he literally just groomed me, showed me the ropes, showed me how to take things very calmly. And after that, I decided I'm coming back to Africa and putting what I had learned to work. And that's how I've been able to start some of the things I've started. Not everything has been successful, but for those that are successful, and because I understand now the laws of startups, is that when investors put money, they put it in 10 startups, but they hope that one will make enough money for the losses of all the other 9. I now understand how this whole equation works, and I'm blessed to be able to run the number of companies I run, to sit on the different boards I sit in, all from sacrifice this man made that he didn't have to make. I believe he was a godsend to my life, and I owe a good chunk of where I am today to the sacrifice that he made. But this was about 15 to 16 years ago, and I haven't looked back. I'm running companies in over 25 countries, hundreds of employees, sitting in different countries at a time and wondering what the next thing is, what's the next step. So I am involved in the mobile commerce space. I'm also involved in agriculture, and I'm also involved in energy. And I'm very excited about where life is going in terms of just looking at the focus of what is God saying we need to do for this next phase. So it excites me, but it's just been a journey. It's been ups and downs, but in those ups and downs, success comes. The advice I would give to any of you out there that are just desiring to do something in life, I'm discovering more and more every day that it's about being content. It's not good to be content with where you're not supposed to be, but it's important to be content when it comes to what you're doing and appreciating what you've been put on this earth to do. I can appreciate not everybody was called to be an entrepreneur, but I can also appreciate that not everybody was born. Nobody was born, and I'm convinced Nobody was born so that they could just die of cancer. Nobody was born just so that they could die poor with no food in their stomachs. I think these are just the results of a sinful world and a world that's in a lot of pain. But in the midst of all that are people who are fulfilling purpose. And I say to you today, it doesn't have to be the highest paying event of your life, but it should be the most fulfilling thing that you do in life. If you find yourself in a place of discontentment, completely unhappy, I hear people say Monday blues. I have no clue what Monday blues are. I love every day. It could be a Sunday, it could be a Wednesday. I'm constantly asking people, what day is it? Because I enjoy every day. And I make sure that I understand if in Nigeria or whichever part of the world you are, in Nigeria, I think the male life expectancy, the last I looked, was 55 years. I don't know what it is now. It means if you're over 25 or 27 years old, you're already halfway to the other side. And what I have to tell you is, live every day as if it's your last day. Be fulfilled in what you do. Make sure you're happy in what you settle to do. If you've decided to feed the poor, feed them with all joy. If you've decided to be an entrepreneur with all the joy and benefits that come with it. If you've decided to be a good housewife, be a great housewife and don't complain about it. Enjoy it. Save a life. It's too short. It's not about money. It's about being content with what you do in life and making sure that you are happy about what you do. Don't be greedy. Don't be in a hurry, because the process is the same. I've been taught by so many entrepreneurs that have made it that if you can do 5 to 7 years as an entrepreneur, you're going to survive in the entrepreneurial world. So I don't know where you are right now, but if you're close to that side, then continue. If you're just beginning, then I wish you Godspeed and God's blessing. But what I say and what I say to you is be fruitful in everything you do. Have the joy of the Lord. Be happy about what you put your hand to do in life. And whatever you put your hand to do, make sure it's excellent. Do it well.